All right, this is going to be a fun project. We got an 86 Dodge W250, four-wheel drive. The bed has a little bit of damage, but the inside is actually really nice in this truck. Pretty low miles. It's a 4-speed truck, 318, 5.2 liter. But we got a good project on this one. And I say that because this LA 318 is coming out and it is getting replaced with a 318 5.2 liter Magnum. And you can see I've got the computer, the plug, so we can wire this full standalone. Yeah, we're gonna keep the serpentine drive system on it. It's already from a manual truck, which makes life a lot easier. It came with that NV3500 5-speed behind it. There's another one there too for a later date. But I've decided I'm gonna keep the 4-speed in the truck because it's not gonna be a highway truck. It's just gonna be a runaround beater truck that I can drive to save miles on the diesels. I've got more parts for this truck too. Hold please. Out there in the field is a 91 W250 with a TBI 360 in it. Now, none of that truck is going to get used in this one except for the fuel tank, because the fuel tank has the correct sending unit provision, I should say, that I will be able to take a fuel pump assembly from like a 98 Dodge Donor and put right into this truck with that fuel tank. And there's my fuel system. So yeah, this will be a fun project. I'm pretty new to this whole social media creating stuff, so I will do my best to film the whole process of me swapping it out. I probably won't do any video of actually disassembling or putting the motor in. It'll probably more or less just be snippets along the way of keeping progress and updating y'all along the way, because I want to show how easy it is to swap these trucks. I've learned a lot of information from Jamie over at Dead Dodge Garage. Shout out to him. He's been a huge help on this so far with figuring out what I need to do and how to make this work. So yeah, I will do my best to keep y'all posted up along the way. And I'm gonna start pulling this LA out. Let's get it. All right, folks, we are making progress on the old Dodge. Got the grill, bumper, got the core support laying over there, radiator. Yes, my shop is a disaster, but that's besides the fact. We got a cool old Dodge in here. Anyways, we got this all torn down. Got most of the wiring disconnected. We still got a couple things like coolant temp sensor, oil pressure sensor, distributor, stuff like that. The ones that attach to the motor directly. But this spark control box, that'll be deleted. Most of the engine harness will be deleted. The only thing we're gonna keep is the harness that runs the headlights, which I might actually upgrade that to a relay harness anyway. But we'll need stuff like the voltage regulator, stuff like that. But yeah, the radiator and all that's out. The engine mount bolts are loose. Well, the nuts are off, so those can pop out. Fuel pump is unhooked. All that's left, I believe, well, the starter wires are right here, because the Magnum has its own wires that I just left on it, which will be easier. So the only thing that is holding this motor in, besides gravity, is the bell housing bolt and Sawzall the exhaust. And being a 4-speed truck, I think it'll be easier because that should just lift up and slide right off the input shaft. So yeah, we're making progress. Quick little update here, and we're gonna keep going. Next time you see this, we'll probably have the motor out hanging on the hoist and then start doing other stuff, getting ready to stuff the Magnum back in. Well, here we are, folks. She's all rigged up to the hoist. All the bell housing bolts are out. Starter's on the ground because I'm an idiot and forgot that there's reverse bell housing bolts in these. It's been a minute since I pulled one of these old small blocks. But yeah, she's you can see I've got the engine mount pucks out of the way. So hopefully this thing will just slide right off the transmission. We will come back when we got this thing out and hanging in the air. Then we can get that Magnum back there ready to go back in. So let's get it. All right, everybody. As you can see, we've made major progress. Let me tell you, this thing fought me. And for a stupid reason of no fault other than my own. So when I was pulling the trans off, or when I was trying to pull the motor out, I undid the bell housing bolts like anyone else would, and this thing would not come free from the tranny. I could get it to clunk away about a half an inch, but it would not come off. I forgot that Mopars have these little divots inside the bell housing that the flywheel rides in. So essentially the bell housing has to come off the dowels and then go up to get past the flywheel. So what I ended up doing was just pulling the 4 main bolts, sliding the bell housing off of the transmission with the motor, and it came right out. At first I thought the pilot bearing or something was seized, but nope, it was just my stupidity. I forgot about that with the small block Mopars. But yeah, we've got the motor out. It's sitting over here, the old LA 360. And you can see I've got my LA block mounts out, the bolts for it, because those mounts will have to go on this here Magnum. I'll pull these puck mounts out, and then those LA mounts will bolt up right here on the other side. I've just been going through, pulling off all the stuff that I don't need. Zip tied up the transmission side of the harness. This was a factory manual transmission vehicle, like I mentioned before. So all that is basically just the transfer case and reverse light sensor, which I'm not using on this. But pulled the AC pump off, the cruise control modulator, whatever you want to call it. I'm gonna find one of the AC delete pulleys to bolt up here, because this is not an AC truck. So no sense having an AC pump on there taking up space. So I will have to figure out different manifolds. I don't know if I want to use the factory LA manifolds or if I want to just get me some headers. But these manifolds won't work with my Z-bar for the clutch. So I'm gonna have to do something different for the manifolds, but that's not a problem. Those are easy enough. But yeah, she's coming along. Like I said, I'm to the point where I just got to get those engine mounts off and get the LA style block mounts on, and then I got to figure out what I want to do for the clutch. Trying to decide. The clutch on this engine worked really well. It felt good, felt healthy. So I don't know. I might just reuse it, but at the same point, I don't know if I really want to. I can't remember if you can use the Magnum clutch with an NP435. I'll have to do some research on that. If I can, who knows? Maybe I'll just slap it together as is and call it a day. I mean, these clutches do look a little beefier, so I don't know. Maybe I'll pull it off and inspect it, and if I can use it, then I'll just put it back together and send it. But anyway, just a little update for you guys, and I'll bring you back once we get further progress. All right, well, I think we are about as far as we are going to get with this video. I went through, pulled this side of the plug off, or two plugs that kind of come over and address the engine side. These little wire stubs right here are marking what I should need as far as the truck side on running the Magnum. I went through and over here, so here's the harness side of it. So let's see, where are they? Right here, what's left of it. This was the coolant temp sensor wire that runs the gauge in the dash. And then right here was the oil pressure wire to run the dash. And then this big thick blue wire, I don't know if you can see that. This big thick blue wire goes to the positive side of the coil on the LA motor. So it would go to this positive terminal. My theory is, obviously I'm gonna have fuses and relays and stuff to run this harness, but I should be able to use this wire from the truck on the harness to give my fuse and relay box the keyed on and run power. So that wire should get hot and stay hot when you turn the key on and during cranking. So that should be my power wire for the fuse and relay box. And then obviously the oil pressure and coolant temp sensor will run the gauges on the dash. So I might have to add sensors to that motor. I'm not sure yet. I'll get there. And then obviously that's the factory alternator charge wire. I know this Magnum does have an alternator charge wire right here. Whichever one I decide to use and hook up, I'll be sure to let y'all know. That's the alternator field connector. I figured I'll hook it up with the computer, and if the computer will make a factory Magnum alternator charge and work like it's supposed to, I'll leave it alone. If not, then I can always wire that up to make the alternator charge. One way or another, I'll figure it out. But as far as these pins go, on the connector with the female plugs on the truck harness, these three wires are those wires on that other harness that I pinned out. So this red wire is marking the big thick blue wire that's the positive of the coil. This black wire down here on the bottom is marking my oil temperature sensor wire for the gauge, and then the green one is the coolant temp sensor for the gauge. Like I said, that spark control module, I'm just gonna pull it out. I might go through and delete what I can of the harness. I might just, where that's gonna be unplugged, I might just roll it up and tuck it down in the fender where it's out of the way and hidden. Haven't decided how crazy I want to go with this project yet, but then yeah, there's the factory alternator charge wire. Haven't decided how far I want to go, but that's the simplicity of it. I want to try and keep everything factory appearing as far as wires. You know, I don't want to have to make a bunch of aftermarket sketchy stuff. My goal is to make this engine run all on its own standalone harness with relays and fuses, and then just use a couple wires from the factory harness to run the dash gauges and to get my keyed and run power. So yeah, it should be pretty simple. But yeah, like I said, this is about as far as we're gonna make it today. I got the flywheel off that came from the Magnum engine. I gotta turn it down over on my lathe, give it a new finish because it's pretty gnarly. I might just buy a new one. I haven't decided yet. I'll see how it turns. That sensor looks a little iffy too. I've got another motor over there. I might steal the crank sensor off of it. So the end of this one's kind of wonky. But yeah, I need to get a clutch coming for this because the clutch that came off the Magnum obviously won't work because that's a 10 spline and the NP435 is 23 spline. The clutch on the LA motor, it worked good in the truck, but I don't know if I want to just reuse it and slap it in, or if I just want to just spend the money while it's already apart, just put a new clutch in it and just not worry about it. That's probably the route I'm gonna go. And then the other thing is headers. So the factory manifolds from the Magnum aren't gonna work because on this passenger, let me see. This is the passenger manifold. The rear dump is gonna interfere with the Z-bar for the clutch. So that manifold won't work. And then I really don't want to use the manifolds from this LA motor because it has that stupid smog valve, whatever it is, in it. And I just don't want to deal with it. I forgot, I've got this LA 360 out of a 70s Dodge. I might steal the factory manifolds off of that, but I haven't decided yet. But I think it'd be cool to just slap a set of headers in it. Be fun. Make it loud, make it rowdy. Time will tell what I decide to do and what my budget allows me to do. But I got the mounts all on the Magnum. So once I get a clutch and stuff for it, it's ready to drop in. But yeah, I think this is as far as we're gonna make it in this one. Once I get some parts coming in and we're ready to set this motor in, we will bring you all back and keep going on this build. Made a lot of progress this weekend, so let's get it. Later, guys.